Today we're making Newt Scamander's wand from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and the upcoming movie, The Crimes of Grindelwald. This wand is pretty easy to make. It's so easy, I made two. Interested? Here we go. I finally got the Newt Scamander wand. This is the official Warner Brothers Fantastic Beast. This thing cost $26. Really lightweight plasticky feel to it. The reason why I got it is because I thought this detail was going to be hard, and just the general detail of the scarring I wanted to make sure I got right. I'm pretty sure I can make this wand for well under5. Almost as good, if not better, than this one. One of the things about this one that's kind of interesting is that it's very thick. It's 3/8 of an inch at the top here, and then it tapers down with practically nothing. I'm going to use a 3/8 inch dowel. I'm not going to take a lot of Sculpey clay. The wand is 13 inches long or 33 centimeters. And this transition area where I'm going to start the taper is 9 inches. So this is 17 millimeters into this hole. So I need 17 millimeters less than 33 centimeters. So that takes it right down to about 312 millimeters. That's how long I need to make this rod. Here's the handle. Here's the taper point where it's going to start. Dowels are cheap. This one cost us 75 cents for a 36-inch long one, and I'm hitting just a foot. It's going to get pretty loud with the belt sander, so I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the dowel and just kind of move it back and forth on here and maybe down here. Taper it down from here to here. So I'll smooth this down a little bit with some finer grit sandpaper. Using a wood burner, I'm coming in here and making some details. You don't want to hold it on there too long. Just lightly put it on there. This is just a line. You just run it very quickly down through here with a dot. This is the reference for the handle, the little scoop here. Easy to reproduce. I'm using a small tip details, and I'll just sand this down with a light sanding sponge. You can see as I'm sanding the marks I burned in, it's kind of lightening up the burn marks a little bit, giving them more to the character of the wand. The next step is to make the handle. I'm going to use paddle wire for flowers. It's 22 gauge. I'm going to wrap around here to give the clay something to hold on to, and then I'm going to make a plug for the end. Layers and layers of aluminum foil. And then I've driven a pin through it to push into the wood so I can build up around here and make this piece. So every build I like to try something a little different. So I've got a 1/16 inch hole there. I'm going to put the wire in and start winding. I've got about 30 inches of wire, just going to allow the clay something to grab onto. I used this on my Elder Wand build and it worked really well. So make it uniform if possible. There's this little peninsula where I don't want to come down with the wire, and so I'm just going to put some divots in there for the clay to hold on to. Not too deep. It's a very thin layer of clay. This is a Super Sculpey. I've used it now for about 6 wands. So you can see I haven't hardly used any at all. Make these little what I call snakes. Just come around like this, and you can see where I overlap it. Press it into the wire, then I'll smooth this out. Progress being made. Just smooth it out. I've got this all kind of built to the thickness that I want. I'm pushing it down, and then I'll add clay towards the end here. Rolling it out to strips like this, and then just assemble it. Press it into the wire and keep wrapping it around. Rolling it really is working out well. So now I'm just putting little details in here. The wand's going in, kind of like cookies. 275 for 15 minutes. Don't overcook your wand. Let your wand sit until cool, and then it's time to paint and stain them up. I get a sense that this wood is stained and not painted. I was thinking about using yellow paint, but I just don't think that's going to do it. So I'm going to try golden oak. Stir it up really good. The other advantage the stain has is all the wood burning you've done will really have a chance to show through. I was thinking when I was making these whether or not wands over the ages have changed, because if you remember, Fantastic Beasts and Crimes of Grindelwald take place. So you would think that there's probably a traditional approach to wands, but there's probably also a wand is your style. So you would want it to make sure it reflected contemporary times. This will give you a sense of the before and after. You really see the grain come out, the details. While I'm waiting for the stain to dry, I'm gonna take these plugs out. Oh boy, that came out very easy. But that's exactly the kind of detail I was looking for. Done several coats on this. You can see even with the same dowel that there's different characteristics and the staining is not consistent all the way through. And so I'm taking a paper towel and just wiping off the excess. I'm gonna let it dry the rest of the day so the stain doesn't counteract with the paint. A little bit of fine sanding sponge, and it really did lighten up the stain just a little bit, and that's what I was looking for. So here's the color palette I'm going with. Real Navy, Burnt Umber, Coffee Bean, and then I've got this Premium Ultra Bright Nickel that I'm going to use for the inside here. So here's the Burnt Umber. I call this the base or shadow layer. I've used it in a lot of the wands. It will allow details like this to pop out. I'm using a number 10 brush, and I'm putting it on pretty thick. The next layers I'll dry brush on a little bit more. And I'm also leaving this part of the wand uncolored because I'm going to put blue on there. Dry brushing on the Coffee Bean. That means I'm just hitting it at a really long angle, very little paint on the brush, and trying to make sure I get that groove with Burnt Umber kind of showing a little bit of definition. Come in here, tap off the brush, get most of the paint off, and then just hit the highlights. The difference in the colors is pretty subtle, but when it dries, it pops out just a little bit more. I'm using a number 3 brush, and I'm going to come right up to the wood without going over, hopefully. We'll see how this goes. It seems a little bright. With a number 3 brush, metallic silver that was probably $1 or so, this is a little more expensive, maybe $2, and I'm going to start painting the inside of this. Kind of like how that blue turned out. Let's see what it does when it dries. How far up you paint is totally up to you. Okay, looking at the wand after it's dried, this is a little too brown, so I'm going to dry brush on some real brown that I've used in other wands. See if I can lighten it up just a tad here and there. And that's probably too much, so I'm going to wipe that off a little bit. It's amazing on prop builds how additional color, I mean, a little transition here really softens the edge between the blue and the brown. Wow, that really brought this thing to life. Here's the final product. Really happy with how this turned out. Possibly could be my favorite wand. I sprayed on a clear matte finish coat to lock in all the colors. It's a little shiny, but it'll wear down over time, or I certainly could hit it with some steel wool and that would kind of bring it down a little bit. Thumbs up and comments always appreciated. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more wand builds and all sorts of other things coming soon.